what a win this would be. What a win this would be.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no chance they're losing this one.
Yeah.
Got it.
We take home that bread.
Get in there, Brad Binder, you absolute hero. If you've been around the Rev ecosystem for a while, you've probably heard about MotoGP Ignition. But guess what? We've got some exciting news to share. The game launch is finally here with the closed alpha release. Hi, I'm Matt Solomon and welcome to episode 3 of the Rev Show. In today's episode, we speak to the team at Blowfish who have been hard at work developing this game for us, and we're finally able to share it with you. We go through all you need to know from setting up a team, buying your packs to actual gameplay, so you don't want to miss this one. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any future videos. Now let's get into it. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening everyone. I'm joined here with Sam, Mitch, and Miles. Nice to see you guys. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Mitch, do you want to start actually?
Yeah, sure. I am the lead producer for the MotoGP Ignition titles here over at Blowfish, sitting underneath Animoca brand. So we look after MotoGP champions and now MotoGP Ignition Alpha. But yeah.
Awesome, nice to have you on, Sam.
Yeah, so I'm the associate producer. I work under Mitch in assessing sort of the day-to-day runnings of the MotoGP Ignition work over here at Blowfish. I guess quick overview, production. We're the guys that are managing things behind the scene, making sure things are on time, and running a tight ship to make sure Miles can do the best work he can do.
Great lead on. Nice to have you here, Miles.
Hey everyone. I'm Miles. I'm the lead game designer for Blowfish Studios, just mainly leading the design of the game and delegating tasks to the other designers.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's all great to have you three on the show. It's feels like it's been a long time coming, but we're here. This is really exciting. I'm really excited to be here. I keep saying that. I feel like I've said this on every show now, but I am genuinely very excited about what we're building. So shall we jump into it?
Absolutely.
We shall.
All right. So, who's going to teach me how to get into this?
I reckon I can give you the rundown. So, first and foremost, on this screen, you'll have the tab at the top left leading you towards manager. But before we even do any of that, we must get you a team already built and set up. So, let's jump on into the market that you'll be able to see at the top.
All right, so let's go into the marketplace.
Cool. So for MotoGP Ignition Alpha, what we're going to be doing is we are essentially supporting the 2020 season. So all cards that you'll be able to see on the marketplace are currently showing 2020 and 2021. For right now, 2021 are considered hotshots in the game as of right now, but that will be available later on. So jumping right into it, you'll be able to see the Teams tab on the far right there. If you just click into that, you'll be able to see a grand selection of all the cards available on the marketplace to buy using Rev. And maybe before even getting started in purchasing that, we should probably go over how you should connect your wallet first.
Sounds
so
good. So I just click on this big button.
That's it. So the Ignition site has a innate integration with the Blockdo wallet, which is what we'll be using. If you don't have a wallet already, you just put in your email that you want that wallet connected to in the email slot provided. Or if you have one already, just put it in and you'll be able to get an access code sent to your email, essentially letting you log into your wallet.
All right, I'm going to blur this out for security purposes, but just going to wait for that to come through real quick so that our viewers aren't kept waiting. But yeah, here we are.
Too easy.
So I just click confirm.
That's it.
There you go. And now we're in.
So from here, for those who don't have any Rev sitting on their wallet, it's just as simple as pressing the plus button right next to the Rev logo at the top right. You'll be given a couple of options, but more than likely you want to be purchasing Rev. So that'll be the first option you'll see there, purchase, and you'll be able to access being able to purchase Rev through using a credit card. This is a new feature that we've set up for ease of access. If you already have Rev, then we can jump right into actually purchasing your cards. In case that you had a wallet that you wanted to transfer some Rev already from, you do have options of a swapping tool and bridging. Bridging is also another way that you can access your wallet through other chains. You'll be able to bridge that wallet across and transfer Rev with the respective gas pricing to get your Rev over.
So I did lie a little bit. I have done this before, so I do have a little bit of Rev in the wallet. So why don't we go through the flow of how to actually buy a card?
Fantastic. So I guess starting off, and the way that I'm going to be reading this is essentially back to back how you would in the alpha game. So for right now, we've chosen team, which is going to be our first option. And because 2020 is going to be our supporting year, you'll be able to see right there's a checkbox for which season you want to filter towards. So if you check on 2020, just in case that you I guess making the right purchase, you'll be able to see all the teams that you can purchase. I think one thing that should be noted as important, within the alpha game, you'll be constructing your teams based on the official licensing teams of 2020. So if you were to purchase a KTM rider, you would need to be building your team around the KTM team of that year.
Well, go and spend my 239 Rev here, shall we? Because I've only got 239, I'm gonna be cheap and sort by lowest price first. But I guess here you can sort by a number of different options. You got serial numbers, which I guess dictate the rarity. Then you've got your different prices and different age of listings.
That's it.
All right, so like I said, I've done this before, and I actually have quite a few teams. I do want to pick Paul Espargaro on the KTM factory team because I'm a big Brad Binder fanboy, and he's actually already on my team. So, all right, so I've clicked buy for 190 Rev. I guess I'll buy now.
That's it.
Good purchase. Good purchase.
All right, so what do I have to do now?
So this is just the normal signing you'll get whenever you're purchasing a card. So all you got to do is just approve that. It's just as simple as 1, 2, 3.
Well done. All right, so shall we go into my garage and see what I've got?
Sounds good. Let's have a look at your meaty collection.
So now I've got my KTM bike, my team card, just so happens I have another team card. But I've also got my 2 riders here in Paul Espargaro and Brad Binder. So what can I do now? I've got my team. I'm ready. I wanna race.
I reckon you can just jump right in. So let's go again to the manager tab up in the top left.
So I can take you through the events section, Matt, if you like. Awesome. All right, Matt. So I'm going to take you through creating a team, and then we can jump into an event and see how we go. So the first thing we want to do is jump into team selection and build a team. So you bought some cards. What team are we looking to build, Matt?
KTM.
KTM. All right, let's go with KTM. So the first thing you want to do is choose the KTM team as the first option in your build. And now you can see in the UI that it switches over to your rider. And so now you'll get to select both of your riders and a bike. So let's select our first rider. Awesome. And then our second rider. Sprago's good. And then our KTM bike.
Good looking bike.
Good looking bike. Perfect. Now we don't have any hot shots for MotoGP Ignition Alpha on release, but that is something that we have in the roadmap. So now that we have our team, let's go ahead and save that. And you'll notice a key thing here is our crew score. You can see next to Team 1, our crew score is 300. And that's because the cards that we chose specifically allowed our crew score to be 300. And that's mainly due to their rarity. The more rarer your options in your team for your build, the higher that crew score. So it'll let you know how powerful your team is currently. So let's go ahead and save that. And then we can jump into an event.
I'm getting excited. I'm getting nervous. I feel like I'm,
That's it. It's going to be a tough race. It's going to be a tough race. So the one that we have available to us is a general event that we can jump into. For MotoGP Ignition Alpha release, we will have general events that players can participate in for free. It's not going to cost anything to enter, but there are still some prizes to be won. You'll notice on the right side the details for the event, and we can check to see what the prizes are like, if we're happy with them. We can also see the restrictions for the event, and you'll see in this case there is a team restriction, meaning that it has to be a KTM team from the official MotoGP. And if we're happy with this and we're happy with the event details, then we can go ahead and register for the event. You'll notice on the left there in our event list there is a register button. Click that and register a team. So let's register that KTM team by hitting on
Awesome.
Enter event.
So I think
It's getting
that's
real
important.
now.
Yeah, it is. But that's really important to note, right? That here NFTs must be from the same team. So when you're buying your cards, when you're selecting your riders and your teams and your packs, you have to make sure that that if you're choosing a factory team, it has to be all factory riders and stuff like that. And that's obviously what we showed in the in the filters and something to look out for. So
100%.
don't say we didn't tell you.
Yeah, totally. And we will have other ones post-release of Ignition Alpha, but for the release next week, we're just looking at that team restriction. So make sure you choose the right team and the right build, and you should be sweet. Cool. Let's scroll down. And let's take a look at what this initial or first Grand Prix is looking like. So this is the Argentinian Grand Prix. There's some details there. A couple of things to really look at here is the weather. So you'll notice that it's light rain, and so we're going to have to keep that in mind for when we choose the tires to bring in. And the other thing that we want to take a look at is the 3 different Grand Prix events that we have running here. So we have the practice, the qualifier, and the race. So as you can see, we've streamlined the MotoGP format, reducing the amount of practices and reducing the qualifiers, just to make sure that the experience is faster and more immersive for the player. Now, we're in the practice first. We need to make sure that we participate in each one of these events. The practice is going to allow us to move into the qualifier, and the qualifier will allow us to set up our grid position for the final race. So we need to participate in all 3. So let's go ahead and hit enter race on the practice round. Awesome. And now we have our loadout selection. So we saw that there was some light rain. What tires do you feel like, Matt, would go well with light rain?
I think soft tires. I think go with the slicks. Nothing can go wrong there.
Awesome. Let's go with the soft tires. I think we've got a MotoGP fan.
Let's not. I don't want to injure my riders.
Let's go with the rain tires. They're of course going to be better with some rain.
All right, and then play.
Let's do it. Let's see how you go.
Right.
So I think we'll get Sam to kind of talk through the race and how it works as well. And I think you're going to see some interesting things happen with your KTM team.
As we jump into it, you'll see, as we load up the game screen here, you've got a nice little fly through of our tracks, and it'll bring up your starting grid. Now, the starting grid for the first 2 races of each individual GP will be randomized. That'll be your free practice and your qualifier. The free practice and the practice itself is just purely get a feel of that track, play around, see how your tires are feeling, see how your strategy is going, and you go from there. Your qualifier will be the first one that really matters, and that's going to be based on your best lap time, which will then, and what that does is set your grid position for the actual race at the end of each GP. While we're in the race here, though, there are 2 key pieces of UI information here that players are wanting to pay attention to. And that's going to be your strategy, which is that yellowy icon at the moment with bounced down in the bottom there on that UI bar, and your tire wear just underneath it. So the way all this works, your strategy is the key point of influence and agency players are going to have throughout the race. You've got 3 options here. You've got balanced, conservative, and aggressive. And all of these are going to help impact the way that your bike and your riders take each corner and pass on certain checks that we do on the corners to determine the outcomes of the simulation. And all of those checks culminate in tire wear. So the way it all works is at each corner, you've got 3 separate checks that happen. You've got your corner entry, you've got your corner middle, and you've got your corner exit. Each of these checks use varying outcomes from the stats that each of your riders and bikes have. So your concentration, your aggression, your throttle control, your handling, etc. And through a bunch of complicated design choices and calculations that maybe Miles can go into later, it outputs essentially against the D100 that gets rolled, and whatever you go against that D100, if you succeed and your number is higher than that, you pass the check. If not, you fail the check. A failure will result in a slight loss of speed and an increase in tire wear. The more your tire wear goes, gets added into this calculation for further failures. So you really want to be watching your aggressiveness level on each of these corners, watching how that results in your tire wear to get the best performance and longevity throughout the race.
All right, cool. So can I just say, like, while that was happening,
Yeah.
I just Paul Espargo just got into the lead.
I was just gonna say, Espargo.
You're doing well.
Espargo is
Does that-
different.
So does that actually? So it's obviously a practice session. Does that actually mean anything? Like, does track position actually mean anything in the session, or is it really down to kind of the lap time that you set in this particular session?
For the practice session itself, this is purely a means for players to get a feel of the track, see how they think they're going to go overall, and just further understands things. So there's no waiting on the outcome for the practice session at all. It's just play around, test out your tires, test out your strategies. You might find, for example, that Brad Binder works really well with an aggressive strategy because he might have higher concentration stats overall, which counterbalances having a high aggression. And potentially then as well, he might be able to go to a slightly higher, harder composite of tire than using rain tires in rain or something on a cooler day.
Interesting. So you can see here, we've got a countdown, strategy time remaining, and that's stressing me out a little bit. So shall we try changing to an aggressive strategy for both of them?
Yeah, let's go for it.
See how that goes.
And that strategy timer is the amount of time left before your riders reach the end of the lap, and changing your strategy won't change it immediately. It will change how your rider performs on the following lap.
Right. So it's always based on. So for example, we're on lap 2 right now. Now that I've set it to aggressive, that's going to affect lap 3.
Yes.
So here we can see on the little mini map as well. We're now, or just looking on the screen, we can see that we're coming up to the start-finish line to start lap 3, which I guess means now they'll be both riding aggressively. So let's hope they don't make any mistakes.
Yeah. And what that will mean essentially is going into corners, your riders will be going in faster. They'll be braking later at that checkpoint, which is obviously going to increase the risk going into that corner. So they will have a higher rate of failure. But if they do succeed, they maintain more speed and they accelerate faster out of that corner to give you an overall advantage. And a further way you can kind of see all of this is down in the very bottom left, next to the Red Bull KTM Factor Racing, you'll have a number there. That is your rider's form. Form is essentially a stat that is equivalent to your successes and failures throughout the race. So every rider at the beginning of a race starts with a form of 5, and as they go throughout the race, every time they fail, that score is negatively incremented, and every time they succeed a check, positively incremented. So you can see here, Brad Binder doing really well, has a form of 10. He's performing great with the aggressive strategy. It's working out for him. He's not having too many extra failures. Fairly consistent. On the other hand, the Paul Espargo, his form is 0 almost, or like hovering up and down. So he's not having a good time with that aggressive strategy. So we might need to look at a strategy change there to make sure he's doing okay.
Should we try the conservative? We haven't tried that yet. I feel like balanced, he was hovering around, and I kind of glanced at it. I think he was hovering around a 5-ish. So shall we try conservative and see what that does?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, we know we need to change it anyway for the qualifier, right? So that's really like a good thing to flag, is that we probably know what the strategy for Binder is now, but now we need to figure out the strategy for Espargaro.
And as well, look, for Brad Binder, obviously we pushed him as hard as we can strategy-wise, but when we get into the qualifier, we could change up our tires. Obviously, it is a rain environment, so you'd think rain tires are the best, but potentially that harder composite of tire that comes in could give him that little edge to go out and get a bit more speed at the sacrifice of only a small amount of form.
So I've been changing cameras here. I've been clicking between my different riders to see both of them in the race. What else can I do in terms of cameras?
Yeah, so in terms of cameras, if you go down to the bottom middle there, where it says cinematic, you've got 3 different camera modes. So our cinematic, we place stacked cameras around the map to give you the classic MotoGP experience, but you've also got your far and your near cameras. So these will help track, give you above rider UI. Every time you finish a lap, that UI will expand as well to just give you your lap statistics, which will as well show up in your post-race report later on.
Cool. What if I wanted to track other riders? Is that possible?
Yeah, it should be. If you click on the left, anywhere on that bar there, it'll swap over to the other riders. You won't get that same UI bar that pops up, but you will able to get a focused camera on where they are in the race.
Gotcha.
And as well,
let's go back to Brad.
Yeah, if it is all taking a bit long, because sometimes down the line we're going to have much longer races, more marathon type things, which will have a lot of laps. And in real time, we know we're busy people sometimes. Things can take a lot of time. If you go down to the bottom middle, you also have a option to change your playback speed. So you can increase this up to 8 times. And to make sure you still have time to change your strategies within this as well, as you might have seen earlier, when we do change our strategies, everything gets slowed all the way down. Gives you time to make an informed decision, get that change in before the end of the lap, and make sure your riders are really riding an optimal performance.
I wanted to, sorry, Matt, I just want to add to like the importance of that as well. Just every rider, we try to stay true to the real MotoGP. And so all the riders have, we reflect their stats in the game. All the tracks are reflected. We use a lot of aerial maps and heat maps to figure out the speeds of the corners to make sure that we're as accurate as possible. So, if Binder is just more aggressive naturally, then he's going to perform that way on the paddock as well. So it was very important for us that the riders feel what they do in real life to feel that way in the actual game itself, as well as the tracks. Awesome. You did pretty well.
It was a pretty good race, not gonna lie. I think the guys like it in the wet.
1-2 placement.
That was pretty good. So they crossed the line in first and second, but I know that doesn't tell the full story, right? Again, like we said, it's just a practice session, so where they finish on track might not necessarily be where they finished in terms of their lap time in the session. So
correct. So if we
go
want to jump on
result?
through to the race results, and an important thing to note as well, right? How you did here is reflective of, cool, you raced really well against the AI, you came first and second, and that'll be the same when we get to the race. But ultimately, once we do get to the race, if everyone does happen to have the same team, and get those same 1-2 placements, which will get them the requisite points, it is your ability to effectively change your strategies, set the best times overall that will tie break you down the line. So even if you are first and second, there is still that level of optimization that players will want to look into, which is where it brings us to in our post-race report.
So we've got the race report here. There's a lot of numbers. I personally love numbers, so I'll probably dig into this a lot deeper. But can you just give us an overview of what all these mean?
Yeah. So obviously we've got our lap time, and for each rider, it shows you lap by lap the incremental change of how those lap times were affected. Same with your front tire wear and your rear tire wear and your form. The main takeaways from all of this is you want to be weighing up how your strategy changes in lap by lap affected each of the articles on the left. And as you can see for Brad Binder, when we changed into aggressive, not a lot happened. He still performed really consistently. Obviously, your lap times will go down a little bit over the course of a race. That's just as your tire wear builds up. So your riders get slightly more tired, the concentration stat gets reduced. But then if we go to Paul Espargaro, for example, if you want to click on that, Matt, you'll see we swapped him to aggressive and his form started to tank, right? Even at balanced, his form was going down very, very quickly into the race. So he's not happy with a higher level of aggression because potentially he already has quite a high level of aggression, but not enough stats to outweigh it. So we popped him down to conservative, and instantly we started to see a bit of reward coming through from there. Obviously, your last lap wasn't as good, but that could in turn be from the tire wear going up quite a bit throughout the race, and as such, he wasn't in the best position to make use of his conservative strategy.
He let the anger get to him.
Yeah, it's this is really cool to see though, because obviously, you know, you've got two different riders here, and just like, you know, their real life counterparts, they've got, you know, different riding styles here. With in the aggressive setup, Brad Binder's clearly shaved some time off, so he's gone a second, 1.2 seconds quicker. If you look at Espargaro here, he's gone slightly quicker on aggressive, but not much. But then switching him over to conservative, he's actually shaved, you know, almost 2 seconds. So really cool to see, really cool to be tracking the different, you know, how tire wear and obviously how your strategy informs kind of your form, your tire wear, and then in turn, obviously, looking at your form, that that informs your strategy decision. So it's really cool, this loop that you have to go through. But yeah, so now we've gone through all that. We've done our homework. We've looked at what we want to improve for the next session. I guess we can close this now, right, and see where we finished in practice.
That we can.
Oh, yeah. I think it's also important to note there that, you know, in that practice, it is to your benefit to like test out as much as you can. You know, if we didn't test out that conservative strategy, you wouldn't have had that data there to then influence how you would change your strategy moving into the qualifier, right? So now we've figured out the optimal strategies for both our riders. So I'm interested to see how that now impacts the qualifier. Awesome.
I think we've done pretty well here. I think in terms of looking at lap time, pretty quick. Espargaro's about a second off Brad, but it doesn't look like there are many others apart from maybe Miller that have snuck into the 145. So, but yeah, what should we do now? Should we jump into the next session, or how do you guys want to?
Yeah, let's jump into the qualifier, and we can probably speed that one up a bit now that we think we know how the strategies are going to go. Obviously, Binder, we can put him aggressive from the get-go. Lap 2 in your qualifier is really going to be your let's go as hard as humanly possible. And maybe then for Pol Espargaro, we'll chuck him down to a conservative strategy, see how he likes that, and hopefully get the results that we're after though.
I love it. There you go. That's a true team manager right there, calling the shots, telling your riders what to do. All right, I'm ready.
You got this, Matt. We believe in you.
I believe. I feel like the two riders there, you know, well placed for a solid qualifying session.
Believe in the post-race report.
I believe. All right, so we're starting on the front row, which is pretty cool. Gives us some nice clean track to go and do our push laps. Oh, look at that. Espargaro flying into the lead there.
Wow. So that strategy wrong.
It's getting a bit bunched up. Espargaro's had a bit of a wobbly.
Oh, they're on balance strategy?
So yeah, so your first lap will always begin as balanced, and then just before we get to the end of this lap, we'll want to make sure that we swap everything over to how we want for lap 2 to make sure that we really hit that strong qualifying lap as hard as possible.
Awesome. So we're now back into second and third. So do I have to wait for the countdown timer, or can I? You
can anytime. The countdown timer is just there to let you know, hey, we're closing in on the end of the lap. Get your changes in now. But anytime on that lap prior to the timer, you're good to go.
And we'll slow the game. We'll slow the game down for you here, so that you're not pressured. You can take your time, choose the right strategy, make sure you choose the right one, and for both riders too.
All right, so Sam, this is what you said, right? Brad on aggressive and Espargaro on
fingers crossed. I could be the worst manager in the world, but let's see how we go.
Ooh.
All right, here we go. 30 seconds till decision time, but we're already set. No need to panic.
Man, close.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's tight. It's a very tight, tight up there in the front. Ooh, as Brad dives down the inside there, takes third place. Guys, it's qualifying. There's no need to race.
Not yet.
Still fighting for that best lap time is what we're looking for.
All right, here we go. Lap 2. Let's go into the far cam, because I feel like there's a lot of them bunched up at the moment. It's getting pretty exciting.
And just in general for all the players, if there are races bunched up, you don't have to worry about it too much. Your races will pick their own line through the game. So we don't have any collisions, any wipeouts right now. Everything is just based on how you want to pick your race. Your AI is not going to interfere with your racing style. So it's really down to the optimizations you're choosing, and then that will get shown throughout the simulation.
Wanted to make sure speed was the most important thing. It is MotoGP after all, so it's things like taking the corners incorrectly will slow you down. Doing them efficiently will speed you up, and it's really all about that time.
And you'll see down as well. Down at the very bottom, you've got these 3 boxes above your current placement. So those are your sectors. Your sectors come in 3 colors. They come in green, which is, I believe, your fastest sector, or you beat your previous sector. Purple, which is your fastest sector of the race so far. And red, which is slower than your previous sector. So we can see if lap 2, sector 1, you're always going to be faster. So currently that is your fastest sector of the race. And then we'll see now with sectors 2 and 3 how they result, and instantly we'll get some update on if we've done better than our previous lap. Which looks like we've just got green filled in there, so that's great. That's updated there. So we did better than our previous lap. And looking into sector 3.
I think we're going pretty well here. I think you just going back to that form. Brad's almost, he is at 10 now, and Espargaro is still hovering around that 5, which I think he seems to be a lot happier than he was in practice.
We'll take it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right, so that should theoretically be our best lap. So shall we go and speed through the rest of the session?
Let's do it. Looks like our strategy is working.
Sam the strategist.
First and second, look at that.
If any of the teams want to hire me,
let's go.
You heard it here first.
Killing it. Oh, then they're competing against each other.
So I think that Espargaro's let Brad go. All right, on to the final lap now. He's actually gone a bit quicker, which is good to see.
Yeah, and we'll see Paul's form's still doing okay. So he is enjoying it. He's getting the less failures, and they're both these riders without better strategy. Also, better tires than the AI here. We've both gone double rain tires to give ourselves the extra corner validation. Absolutely killing it here. We've got a 10-second gap between the two of you and third place.
Boom! Look
Did
at
it,
that.
Matt. Right.
If you don't win this race, Matt, if you don't win the race, I'm going to be pretty disappointed.
I know. I mean, we've set it up here, haven't we? There's a lot of pressure now. Can we do the triple?
Woo!
Ooh, we've gone into the 44s. All right.
Wow.
Look at that. Espargaro's got
With
into
a
the
form of
44s
10.
as well. Look
Ooh,
at that.
wow.
Look at
Massive improvement.
Yeah, huge.
Great.
It's about 2 seconds. I think he did a 46.9. So yeah, it's very, very good. Guys, I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I appreciate all your input.
I'd say I'd say that's the winning strategy. I don't think I would change anything really.
Yeah, I mean, Binder looks really consistent on that aggressive strategy.
Yeah.
And yeah, Espargaro's nice and
Still what he
consistent
can.
as well. I think it's
He's trying to keep up.
Yeah.
All right, now let's have a look. This is where we've qualified, guys.
If we really wanted
Killed
to,
it.
if we really wanted to do a little tweak there, you notice there with Espargaro that with that conservative strategy, he was increasing his time, but there were a couple of laps there where it was a little bit slower, and that's because you'll notice the tire wear was more. And so maybe playing around with the tires for the final race, just to make sure the wear isn't as high towards the later laps. That might be a little tweak you could make, but I think the strategy so far is working. So we probably want to stick with it. It's safer, but there is data in that report to help us tune a little bit further if we wanted to.
Cool. Yeah. If it ain't broke, so I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna trust in the abilities of my riders here, and guess we're going into the race, where it all counts, where the points are scored.
Let's win some points.
All right, so we skipped ahead a little bit, and we are heading towards the final lap now. As you can see, the strategies worked beautifully. The guys are still in first and second. We've got a nice 1.5 second lead ahead of Quattararo there in third. So yeah, it's been a good race. No incidents, and the guys have kept it clean. And we're now heading towards the final lap and hoping to close out what will be my first win in the MotoGP Ignition Alpha.
Is this a preview of what's to come with Ducati this KTM this year?
I do hope so. Brad's had an exceptional season, and yeah, the guys are looking good. So let's hope they continue to perform as well as my team here.
For sure.
Oh, but is Paul going to overtake though?
Oh, what a win this would be! What a win this would be!
Wow! Imagine crossing the line side by side. That would be awesome. All right, heading into the final lap. Binder's got it by a hair. Come on, guys, stay clean out. See, this is the most stressful part as a manager. I keep saying how excited and stressed I am. My emotions are going everywhere this race.
Keep together.
I'm trying. But this is very tight, and this is probably the most stressful part of a race weekend when you see your two riders battling it through a race, especially when they've got such a good lead and they're first and second. So I've got everything crossed right now. But hey, we pulled out
at this point, you're on your last lap. That's it. Strategies are locked in. There's nothing more you can do. You just got to sit there and hope for your riders
and enjoy our cinematic camera.
This is beautiful. I'm
building the pressure, building the tension. We actually place cameras in all of the crane positions on each track, so they should be accurate to the actual sport.
That's awesome.
Just to give you that extra little bit of tension as we cross the line.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sitting on a pit wall and just really willing these guys on. But we have a good lead. We have a good lead in front of Bagnaia and Quattararo fighting there. So we pulled out a 10 seconds, which is pretty good. This would be an epic win if we. Come on, guys, just a few more corners. A few more corners. You got this, please.
Form's looking good. They should be sweet.
Oh,
Form's looking
distance
good.
behind. Yeah, there's no chance they're losing this one.
Come on, guys.
You got this one in the bag. But again, now you're going to have to. This is hoping for the best times that we've set here, so that when we do go up against that global leaderboard against other players, we've got it in the bag.
We take home that bread.
Get in there, Brad Binder, you absolute hero.
Awesome. Amazing job.
You did it, Matt.
Yeah. Yes. I'll add some sound effects in post.
Interesting to see how you go on the leaderboard now.
All right, I'm ready. I'm just gonna bask in the glory a little bit. Just
oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Race results. Let's go.
Mighty victory. I was very impressed with Espargaro.
Yeah, that's
all right.
Doing some work.
Hey, the lap times are good, as far as I can see. Tire wear pretty consistent.
Ooh.
Damn.
Yeah, look at that. 2 laps there are very consistent and quick, which is always good to see. Spargo's had a good race, very consistent in the 45s. Last lap, just chilled out a little bit, knowing that he had a 10-second lead. So did Brad, to be fair. So they were just showing off at the end. All right, leaderboards.
Let's see.
All right, picking up 25 points for the win, 20 points for second. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. My total race time here, which is 8 minutes and 52, is that what's going to go on the leaderboard?
So yeah, that's what's going to be used to tie break everything. Your points, and then your points will be the main thing that converts over to the leaderboard. So you'll see here, you've got 25, you've got 20, so that would be your 45 points. But we do have a bonus point system in place for the Alpha here. So based on your crew score, which was talked back about in the team selection, you've got 4 brackets of crew score there. Your 0 to 200, 200 to 400, 400 to 600, and 600 to 800. At each of these increments, you'll be earning per rider an extra 2 bonus points based on your tiers, legendaries, rares that help you add up to that crew score. So you can see here, because Matt had a crew score of 350, that places him in the tier. That means both of his riders get an extra 4 points whenever they earn points. If you were to come in last place, however, where you get 0 points as standard, you do not receive any of those bonus points. If we scroll down there, you'll see Takaki didn't end up with any bonus points because he was in a 0. And all the AI here will end up with an extra 2 bonus points because that's the standard across the board if you don't have any rating on your crew score.
So we smashed it.
Yeah, we did great.
You did a good job, man. Did a really good job.
We can jump out of here quickly, though, and next jump into our global leaderboards. So if you want to click that trophy up there, cool. And so we can see here now that we've gotten onto the leaderboard, obviously we've got 45 plus the extra 8 points. You can see underlined there, we're now in 2nd place. And these other 2 entries are 2 other players. So one in 3rd place looks like they've probably only completed one of the races out of the GP as well. Whereas this person in 1st place, I would say there's a high likelihood they've made it all the way through. They've done all 5 GPs within the event, and they've ended up with a total of 145 points. But look, we got 53 points from 1 GP in that event. If we ride it all the way through, Matt, I think we're in for a first.
I'll take it. You know, I'm happy with that. I can see the team in 1st place. They've got a couple legendaries. Is that right? Are these purple ones legendary?
Those are epics. So they've got epics and they've got some rares. So it's likely, just going off what we're looking at there, they're probably in the +6 category, I'd say. So every rider they have is going to be earning an additional 6 points whenever they score points. But hey, if you've got the better riders, you're going to be earning way more points for the most part.
And we don't stop you from progressing in the event and GPs. We don't force you to wait for other players. So you can just go through, complete the whole event, and then just chill until you see until everyone else finishes, and then you can see where you ended up on that leaderboard and if you earned yourself any prizes. So, you know, these guys in 1st place, this team, they might have just participated in a few more Grand Prix than you have, and that's why they've got a bit more points. But that's not to say that if you keep going with that winning strategy, you'll end up netting yourself more points overall.
Well, I guess I know what I'm doing for the rest of the day now. So thanks, guys.
No worries.
Awesome.
No worries, Matt.
Thanks,
Enjoy the Rev.
All right, so that's been epic. To bag it was a pretty solid weekend. You know, taking getting a nice practice session, solid qualifying, and finishing 1 and 2 in the races. I mean, couldn't get any better for my first go at the Alpha. But guys, Sam, Mitch, Miles, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on the show today, showing us the first look at the MotoGP Ignition Alpha. I hope, you know, to all our viewers, I hope you guys are super excited for what's to come, and I hope you guys are ready to race, because I'll be there.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Keep on
Thanks,
revving.
everyone.
Any final thoughts?
Have fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have fun, enjoy the Rev, and go out and win.
Get excited.
All right, awesome, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you again very soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
See
Matt.
you guys.